The next page is the cover of Famimaga 64 from February 14, 1997. It highlights several upcoming Nintendo 64 games, including Mother 3, The Legend of Zelda 64, Star Fox 64, Yoshi's Island 64, and Kirby's Air Ride. It also features Konami's Jikyu Powerful Pro Yaku 4 and Ganbare Goemon 5. Finally, there's New Japan Pro Wrestling and Hudson Soccer 64. The bottom has Super Bomberman 5 and GB Let's Go. This page is a full-page advert for Mini 4 WDGB Let's Go, a Game Boy game based on the Mini 4 WD racing car phenomenon. It highlights the game's features, like full simulation, tuning, customization, and multiplayer battling. A special limited edition includes a Shining Scorpion full cowl body. The game is slated for release in March 1997, priced at 5,500 yen. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion Let's Go! For the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo. The ad promotes the game's features such as collecting upgrade parts to customize your machine and compete against characters from the anime Bakuso Kyodai Let's Go! And it boasts a 5-player free battle mode using a password or TurboFile Twin. The ad also mentions the TurboFile Twin and ASC2 grip controllers, as well as the game's price, 8,800 yen. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page features several Nintendo 64 games. It starts with Mother 3, Earthbound 64, showcasing character models. Next is The Legend of Zelda, teasing new dungeon footage. Star Fox 64 highlights the Arwing's maneuverability. Then there's Yoshi's Island 64 and Kirby Air Ride Blastozer, promising more 64 releases. Jikyu Powerful Pro Baseball 4 discusses 3D stick controls and success mode tips, along with the 2-player mode in Ganbare Goemon 5. Brave Spirits, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tukon Road, Brave Spirits, displays the New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler, and Soccer 64 delves into development secrets. Human Grand Prix checks out a sample room, while Multi-Racing Championship showcases machine controls. Finally, Turok features enemy attack strategies. The page also includes credits for the publication and staff. The next page promotes the magazine's in-depth coverage of 97's N64 games, promising exclusive content from 3 major developers. The editorial team has traveled from Sapporo to Kyoto to Osaka, giving readers the latest 64 information. Games featured include Mother 3, Earthbound 64, The Legend of Zelda 64, Star Fox 64, Yoshi's Island 64, Kirby Air Ride, Blastozer, and Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The feature also focuses on Nintendo's major 64 titles, highlighting 7 key software releases. Additionally, the page covers Jikyu Powerful Pro Baseball 4 and Ganbare Goemon 5, along with other titles such as Soccer 64 and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tukon Road Brave Spirits. There are pictures of Osaka Castle and a statue of William Smith Clark. This page showcases Mother 3, Earthbound 64, as a polygon-based game with unique characters. The game's development status, release date, and price are yet to be determined. The page highlights the unique polygon characters and wondrous world. It includes a message from Nintendo about releasing 7 titles across different genres in 1997. It features screenshots of in-game characters like Lucas, Duster, and a mysterious merchant with salsa. The next page dives into the quirky characters of Mother 3, Earthbound 64. It highlights that both enemies and allies are polygon-based and possess unique designs and animations. The page emphasizes the individuality of the townspeople, suggesting that there are no ordinary people in the game. Characters like Lisa, the signboard girl, from a local shop, and a muscular man who is the champion of the Yosaku Championship are featured. The design of the monsters in the game also focuses on unique characters, such as the Ott, the crocodile, the Kololi, the emigre, the orangutan, and the bukil. Nintendo is working on creating strange creatures that both resemble and deviate from animals to fight with in the game. This page previews aspects of the upcoming Mother 3, Earthbound 64, highlighting that the setting has moved away from the modern world of previous games to a more ambiguous era. The setting features a mysterious world, including places like Tatsumari Village, which is reminiscent of a western town, and the lively club Titibu. There are hints of a military presence, with a desert convoy and soldiers surrounding a giant pot. The page wonders about the meaning of these elements. The game will feature older characters, Oiji-san, alongside the younger protagonists. The page then shows off some of the player characters: Duster, a mysterious merchant, and Ryuka. The text also discusses the vehicles in the game, including the Porky Bean, a bean-shaped craft. It suggests that various unique vehicles will appear in Mother 3. A sketch shows other vehicles and characters, such as the Desperado Crash and Mambo Combo. The page comments that familiar characters from the series will return. The next page features The Legend of Zelda 64, an upcoming title for the Nintendo 64. A cartoon illustration depicts Link battling skeletons. The development status is still unknown, with the development status percentage marked with a question mark, and both the release date and price listed as undecided. The game is described as a DD-compatible action RPG, but the room capacity is unknown. The article highlights an opening movie, where Link discovers the Triforce. Screenshots show Link in various environments, including what looks to be dungeon settings. The text focuses on the Triforce and its significance to the game's story, suggesting that Link's quest will revolve around it. The page ends by speculating whether the game will be released on a 64DD or a ROM cartridge. It mentions the possibility of a ROM release and the addition of new scenarios and map data. The developer wants to create a Zelda game that can be played indefinitely. This page is about The Legend of Zelda 64, where the adventure is explored in 3D. The game utilizes the N64's capabilities to bring a fully realized graphic world to life, with Link, monsters, and environments rendered in polygons. The game will allow you to explore a 360-degree world and is made possible by polygonal processing, allowing for freedom in the gameplay, with adjustable camera angles for a better adventuring experience. The environments include towns, dungeons, and fields, all constructed using polygons for a 3D experience. The dungeon setting shows a town where paths intertwine and even allow entry into houses. Buildings can be entered, and there are areas where you must avoid being seen by monsters. The field environment is a place where you might become lost due to the 360-degree view, with the possibility of aerial attacks. Dungeons will feature familiar elements with slopes and a variety of enemies. The adventure begins with mysteries and puzzles in a 3D space, which includes hidden passages and changes in the environment. This page delves into Link's and monsters' actions in The Legend of Zelda 64, showcasing basic moves like running, vertical and horizontal slashes, and jumping. It highlights how Link's actions have evolved in 3Ds, offering more dynamic gameplay. The page describes the different attacks with the sword and how running is very useful, as it can be used to unleash other moves. There are also some enemies featured, such as the Stalfos and the Iron Knuckles, and how they have appeared in previous titles. This page is an article discussing Star Fox 64, focusing on its development status, targeting a release in April. It highlights the improved turning capabilities of the R-Wing. The article emphasizes the game's large battle spaces and diverse route branching, going over the new 360-degree stages where the player is heavily reliant on the radar. Warp areas and hidden routes change the flight area. The game features a 4-player battle mode similar to Mario Kart 64, with arenas allowing for up to 4 ships in aerial combat. It mentions the importance of using the radar, with tips on using the radar in the bottom left of the player's screen and using ground obstacles to outmaneuver rivals. The next page from Famimaga 64 delves into the R-Wing and Landmaster tank featured in Star Fox 64, highlighting that mastering both vehicles is key to completing the game. It introduces 2 new R-Wing flight techniques, the U-turn and the somersault, enhancing maneuverability. The U-turn allows for quick reversals, while the somersault is a quick aerial turnaround to get the enemy in your sights. The article also details basic combat maneuvers, like single and twin beams and bombs, along with defensive tactics, such as rolling. The Landmaster's techniques, rolling and jumping, are crucial for dodging enemy fire and traversing terrain. The page encourages players to use the rolling maneuver to dodge incoming missiles, and to use jumps to overcome obstacles. This page from Famimaga 64 presents a detailed look at Star Fox 64. It introduces the game's premise, where players join the mercenary squadron Star Fox to fight against Andross's evil empire. The page highlights the 4 members of Star Fox: Fox, Falco, Peppy, and Slippy, briefly detailing their roles in the game, like how Falco is a cool pilot, Peppy provides advice, and Slippy is knowledgeable about enemies. It showcases gameplay screenshots, emphasizing key combat tactics.
It talks about how players need to break through heavy fire, dodge enemy formations, and destroy enemy bases. Additionally, the page features the Andross army, highlighting a giant robot boss and detailing its attack patterns. The page also describes how Andross employs mercenary squadrons similar to Star Fox.
The next page is an article titled Year-End Release Schedule, a major pursuit of popular titles. The article focuses on Nintendo's new works slated for release this year and introduces and recommends various titles that might catch the eye. The page showcases Yoshi's Island 64, provisional title, an upcoming action game for the Nintendo 64, emphasizing the feeling of the gameplay. It highlights the game's graphics and how they are progressing steadily. The article notes elements like Yoshi flying around with sprouted roots and new gameplay mechanics that add to the fun. The page includes screenshots from the game, showing Yoshi flying with wings, the abundance of Shy Guys, and the use of eggs as attack items. It also contains humorous comments about what might be hidden in the cottage they climb to, and mentions cardboard-like stages and Yoshi's progression through the game with eggs. This page is an article about Nintendo's upcoming releases, with a focus on several games in development for the Nintendo 64. First up is Kirby's Air Ride, provisional title, a racing game that's still early in development. The article laments the lack of concrete information and imagery, but hints at a unique, amusement park-style racing experience. Screenshots show gameplay with Kirby riding a star-shaped board, gliding through the air. Next is Blastozer, an action game slated for release on March 21st, priced at 6,800 yen. The article reveals that the game's price has been lowered, making it more accessible to fans. It introduces 2 destructive machines, the J-Bomb and the Barista, both used to destroy buildings and obstacles. Finally, Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire is highlighted, with a release date pushed back to the summer. The reviewer expresses disappointment, but notes that the game is nearly complete and that fans will have to be patient. The screenshot features an at in a snowy environment, promising an immersive Star Wars experience. The next page is an advertisement for JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 4, which translates to Real-Time Powerful Pro Baseball 4 for the N64, showing it's 90% complete. The release date is set for March 14th, and the game will cost 9,800 yen, supporting up to 2 players. It also asks why there is no scenario mode. The game developers say that there was no time. It was cut due to time constraints. They're going to focus on other modes and bring the scenario mode back if requested. The tagline reads, Assault Gummamon, the essence of attack, the essence of defense, and also says, the eyes of the men challenging possibilities are shining brightly. This page features JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 4, or Real-Time Powerful Pro Baseball 4 for the Nintendo 64, and a deep dive into its gameplay. The game has a unique system for both pitching and batting, with dynamic camera angles that shift based on the batter and pitcher, enhancing the strategic depth. The graphics have been improved, with more realistic player proportions and stadium details, including Osaka and Nagoya Dome. You can enjoy the game from various angles. Using zoom options and instant replays, it allows you to re-watch plays from different perspectives, focusing on the ball or runners. The game introduces a circular cursor for hitting, making it easier to aim, and also features sweet spots to focus on. During batting, you can switch between a standard swing and a powerful swing. The game includes modes like Pennant Race and Success Mode, where players can create and trade original players. The post-game stats are comprehensive, offering detailed analysis. Other features include original player creation using passwords or controller packs, and data trading between players. The page has screenshots of the different play modes and the game's user interface. The next page continues the guide for JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 4. It emphasizes how mastering the complex controls leads to more enjoyable gameplay, urging players to familiarize themselves with the 3D stick, noting its responsiveness compared to the DPAD. The guide details offensive controls, specifically runner management and batting techniques. For runners, the C button controls all runners, while A and B buttons advance or return individual runners. The 3D stick, or DPAD, is used to direct specific runners. Batting controls include switching between normal and power swings using the R trigger, and moving the batting cursor with the 3D stick, or DPAD, including quick adjustments for course changes. This page continues the guide for GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4, focusing on more gameplay techniques. It provides tips on pitching, batting, and fielding, emphasizing the importance of understanding the game's mechanics. The guide includes sections on pitcher controls, fielding techniques, and general gameplay strategies. It highlights the use of button combinations for pitching control and fielding maneuvers, as well as strategies for base running and batting. The page also includes visual aids, such as controller layouts and in-game screenshots to illustrate the techniques being discussed. On fielding, the R trigger allows for relay throws to middle infielders, while the 3D stick moves fielders. For pitching, a type allows for control of the ball using the kill buttons, while B type allows for the same using the IL button, allowing for different pitcher shifts. The 3D stick is used for throw type, and the DPAD is used for defensive shifts. The next page features more on the popular success mode in GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4, highlighting the increased fun with the addition of more pitchers. This mode lets you train and develop players drafted into the professional league. The page explains how to enhance abilities through training, aiming for a first-team promotion within 3 years. It details how original players can be registered for use in other modes after successful training. It also mentions you can select their background, such as high school, university, and foreign. A section discusses the importance of training, focusing on raising attributes like power and defense. It details different training menus and how they affect player condition, also how the coaches, the manager, hitting coach, defense coach, and development coach affect the outcome of training, and how your coaches and managers' evaluations are affected by team performance. It mentions how the coaches are evaluated, how the relationship between them impacts the gameplay. The next page delves deeper into GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4, focusing on pitcher development. It emphasizes that pitchers have different training menus and attribute focuses compared to fielders. Control is crucial, especially when training pitchers who rely on straight balls. And it also covers the importance of mastering different kinds of breaking balls. There's a section on whether a pitcher can be used as a reliever during a game, describing how they can be called upon. The page highlights the abundance of events in success mode, drawing parallels with previous versions, including injuries, illness, teammate interactions, love interests, and coach relationships. This section talks about picking up on rivalries, along with commentary from the developer, talking about how to improve the pitchers. The developer also comments on the importance of the character you create and how to keep them happy to avoid them being stolen by other teams. The page also includes screenshots of the game's training and gameplay screens. The next page is a feature on Ganbare Goemon 5, also known as Mystical Ninja starring Goemon 2 in the West. It's titled Neo Momoyama Bakufu's Dance. The article includes insights from the developers on the game's development status, which is currently at 11% completion. The developers emphasize the game's transition to fully polygonal 3D, the most significant change from previous titles. The game features expansive 3D environments. Asakusa's Kaminarimon is a memorable location, with freedom to run around. 3D dungeons within castles allow players to drop down from the shadows and surprise enemies. The article highlights the potential for two-player simultaneous play, which is currently being explored. One idea is to allow players to explore the castle separately in a split-screen mode. The page features comments from KCE Osaka developers, including director Koji Murata and producer Keita Kawaminami, alongside Konami public relations representative Shigeko Tsuge, talking about their roles in the game's creation. This page is about Ganbare Goemon, Neo Momoyama Bakufu no Hane Odori, or Mystical Ninja starring Goemon in some regions, for the Nintendo 64. It details 4 types of stages in the game: travel, town/village, castle, and impact stages. The travel stages offer freedom to explore famous locations, while the town and village stages focus on gathering information and feature lively environments. The castle stages are enemy strongholds filled with traps, and the impact stages focus on speed and destruction. The page includes screenshots of the game, showing off the different environments and characters. There are also details on local food and various activities in the towns and villages. The game incorporates shooting and fighting elements in the castles, while the impact stages have a racing style and a boss battle. The next page showcases the characters in Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, emphasizing their unique movements and expressions achieved through motion capture. It highlights the attention to detail, with each character having around 100 motion capture patterns. The page features 3 enemies. Kabuki Robo, a Kabuki-inspired robot that hovers using jet propulsion, known for its powerful hits and intimidating Kabuki makeup. Taizanba Robo, a mysterious character combining a sea bream and a statue, with unknown fighting methods that may involve water. Lastly, Taizanba-san also features in this game. The characters are visually appealing, and the text includes humorous anecdotes about the development process. A quote from the developer notes that Taizanba-san was previously cut from the series and is making a reappearance.
There is also a quote to say that if you get too close, you get injured.
This page of Famimaga 64 covers Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon 5 for the Nintendo 64, focusing on gameplay elements and developer insights. It details 2 key aspects: hidden items and speedrunning. The developers emphasize the abundance of hidden items, a series staple, encouraging thorough exploration. The game tracks playtime, inviting players to attempt speedruns. It notes that the map's wide and full of content, and the player will not be without hidden items. A section titled Playing with Player discusses the freedom in 3Ds, and the option for 2-player cooperation or competition. The developers joke about the characters' movements, particularly Ebisu Maru. They suggest potential split-screen modes with players chasing each other in tag-like minigames. The developers, including Kawaminai and Ebisu, share humorous anecdotes. The article concludes with a playful discussion about the release date and a comment from Tsuj, who also served as an interviewer. The next page is a preview of Soccer 64 for the Nintendo 64. The game is currently 50% complete and features cute, 3-headed polygon characters with individual characteristics. The game promises intense gameplay with 22 players on the field simultaneously. The page also includes an interview with the developers from Hudson Soft's Hokkaido branch, Shuichiro Nishiya, the game's director, Yohei Nakata, in charge of planning, and Shinichi Doi, the product manager. They share their enthusiasm and commitment to creating a quality game for the new hardware. This page is a preview of Soccer 64 for the Nintendo 64. The game features 22 players on the field simultaneously and a dynamic camera system that adjusts to the action, providing optimal views during gameplay, including close-ups for goal attempts. There are customizable play options, like stadium selection, match duration, and rule settings such as offsides and penalty shootouts. The developers chose 3-headed polygon characters to emphasize fun over realism, allowing for exaggerated movements and expressions. There is also an interview with the developers from Hudson Soft, Shuichiro Nishiya, Yohei Nakata, and Shinichi Doi. They describe the camera work, the character design, and their commitment to making the game a fun experience. This page introduces the techniques of Soccer 64 on the Nintendo 64, emphasizing that they are simple to execute with the 3D stick and button controls. The 3D stick allows players to vary their running speed by tilting it, and pressing the A button controls the strength of kicks.
The page highlights several techniques.
Hill lift, described as an advanced technique. Shoot, a powerful shot near the goal. Jump, jumping vertically to avoid opponents. Sliding tackle, a sharp tackle to steal the ball. Avoiding tackles, jumping to evade sliding tackles. Dribbling, using the 3D stick to change speed. The developers, Shuichiro Nishiya and Yohei Nakata, discuss the game's controls and features, highlighting the freedom players have to experiment and create their own play styles. Nishiya mentions the training mode for practicing moves and formations, and the customizable player system, allowing players to edit positions and create original formations. Yohei Nakata expresses the desire to provide a game where players can improve with experience. Shinichi Doi hopes the game is engaging enough to cause finger pain from playing. This page features an upcoming Nintendo 64 title, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling, Tukan Road Brave Spirits, currently 20% complete. The game promises to deliver realistic wrestling moves and real-life wrestlers in polygon form. It highlights over 70 different moves per wrestler, from small strikes to devastating finishing moves. The game will allow players to taunt opponents and rile up the crowd.
An interview with director Tadayuki Kawada discusses the dedication to capturing the essence of pro wrestling, including the intricacies of move execution and the individual styles of wrestlers. Video footage is used to study techniques, and motions are tailored to each wrestler. Kawada mentions that he previously worked on Page S. Toukan Retsuden, which inspired him to create a similar wrestling game. He says the team are aiming to create a game that offers detailed and accurate wrestling action. The next page discusses camera angles in Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling, Toukan Road Brave Spirits, stating the camera angles are automatic during matches but switch to close-ups for special moves. It also features the wrestler Keiji Muto performing a diving headbutt. The page includes an interview with director Kawada, who discusses motion capture and using character models. Kawada mentions that one character designer makes the models with motion capture. He also talks about the number of moves for each wrestler, with wrestlers like Keiji Muto having around 70 different moves. Kawada describes how players will use the 3D stick and buttons to perform moves, and emphasizes the realism of the game. He also mentions that the game will feature tag team matches and the ability to create custom tag teams. Players can save their tag team data and compete against other players. Kawada mentions that the game will feature popular wrestlers, and that they are still deciding which wrestlers to include. He also says that the game will include a metal character, which is a unique character with movements inspired by other wrestlers. Kawada is also asking for feedback from players on what they would like to see in the game. This page features wrestlers from Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling, Toukan Road Brave Spirits, and discusses possible interpromotional matches in the game. The page lists the wrestlers scheduled to appear, including Shinya Hashimoto, Riki Choshu, Tatsumi Fujinami, Masahiro Chono, Keiji Muto, Kensuke Sasaki, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Hiroshi Tenzan. Image. An image of the Great Muta appears at the bottom, with a question of whether he will appear in the Fen 64 game. In an interview, director Kawada discusses the possibility of including hidden wrestlers, mentioning Dynamite Kid as a wrestler he'd like to include. He also talks about the freedom to choose match venues and rings and preferences for New Japan Pro Wrestling rings. Kawada addresses the inclusion of entrance themes, stating that the main theme will be Hashimoto's theme, with other wrestlers' themes used to create the music, and the importance of in-game realism. Kawada mentions the game has a system where new data can be added, allowing players to experience interpromotional matches. He expresses a desire to bring it to life and have it be a side that can be played. The next page is an advert for Human Grand Prix, the new generation, on the N64. It highlights the return of the familiar Super Famicom game on the N64, boasting enhanced production values. The game features 22 machines racing on world circuits, with the ability to enter the pits wirelessly. The page showcases in-game screenshots, including a view of the marionette circuit. It mentions the textures and details. Plus, the game has 7 different camera angles. Players can adjust machine settings and performance, choose between light, normal, and heavy pit work, and there are 11 distinct machine types. The text also notes that each team has unique machine performance, and that the player's driving skills can lead to victory. Pit stop instructions add to the realism, and the game includes driver faces that players might recognize from TV races. The release date and price are yet to be determined. This page discusses the features of Human Grand Prix, the new generation, on the N64, highlighting the realism of the racing experience. Weather affects visibility, making cornering and judging distances harder. The game also includes pit stops and different car characteristics. There are 11 types of teams to choose from, each with its own unique machine performance and engine. Players can select 2 drivers from the 22 available, and each team has its strengths, like total balance, engine power, or cornering. Some of the teams listed include Will, Ben, Fur, Sao, Jor, Lig, MCL, 4, Min, and Tier, each with a description of the team's car and performance. This page details how to master Human Grand Prix, the new generation, by understanding the in-game HUD. The HUD provides critical info like lap times, current position, lap number, and a mini-map of the entire circuit. Players should monitor tire wear and fuel levels to avoid issues during the race. Also, the color of the indicator lamps will change to show the car and driver's status. Understanding the speed and RPM is key to shifting gears. The page also highlights the importance of car setup, including wing angles, tire softness, and fuel load to match the course. Flat tracks favor a lower wing angle, while tight tracks require higher downforce. Tire and fuel management are critical to the balance of the car, and players should also adjust their setup to match the course.
This page in Famimaga 64 magazine features Human Grand Prix, the new generation, highlighting the game's 16 courses and their unique characteristics. The page emphasizes how each track presents its own challenges.
Germany offers high-speed straights, while Monaco focuses on technical cornering skills. Brazil features unpredictable weather that can influence pit stop strategies. Other tracks like Belgium, Japan, and Italy are highlighted, noting that Belgium features long tracks, Japan has a unique overpass, and Italy has fast circuit sections similar to the German Hockenheim track. The text gives a brief description of each track and the challenges it holds. Screenshots from the game accompany the descriptions, showing the variety of environments.
The next page is an advertisement for Multi-Racing Championship, also known as Multi-Racing Championship in North America. For the N64, it showcases the game's blend of on-road and off-road racing. The page mentions that the game allows players to race on mixed courses. It features branching paths and different course types, including snow-covered roads. The game has 3 difficulty levels: easy, normal, and hard.
The page highlights the ability to choose the best course depending on the situation. There are also points on the courses where paths merge for intense car battles.
This page from Famimaga 64 features Multi-Racing Championship for the N64. It focuses on the ability to customize your car for challenging races. The page details the machine selection screen and the fine-tuning options available after choosing a car. These settings include handling, engine characteristics, brakes, aero, gear ratios, tire grip, drivetrain, and suspension, each with adjustable parameters to suit on-road or off-road conditions. The article also highlights the mountain course with difficult terrain, snowy roads, tunnels. It mentions that the courses have obstacles and branching paths. It points out the importance of adjusting the car's settings for different parts of the course, emphasizing the beauty of the natural setting, and warns against underestimating the challenges. The page features screenshots of the game, showcasing cars racing on snowy roads and through tunnels. The captions describe the action and the impact of the environment on the race. The next page is an advertisement for Doraemon, Nobita, and 3 Fairy Spirit Stones for the Nintendo 64, published by Epoch. The advertisement highlights the game's plot, where players collect fragments of fairy stones to seal away a demon, the gameplay featuring Doraemon and friends utilizing different gadgets and abilities. The game is slated for a March release, priced at 7,980 yen. Screenshots display various gameplay mechanics, including platforming, boss battles, and character-specific actions, such as Nobita's special abilities and Doraemon's foot stomping. This page offers a sneak peek into the new stages being added to Doraemon, Nobita, and the 3 Fairy Spirit Stones for the N64. The worlds include sky, sea, and land stages, each featuring unique gimmicks and landscapes. The page highlights the importance of special items like Doraemon's gadgets, essential for navigating each world and interacting with the environment. There's mention of needing to find Doraemon's gadgets to ride vehicles, and using the gadgets helps befriend the scary dinosaur and drive the underwater buggy. It highlights that collecting 100 bells increases the number of remaining characters, and eating dorayaki refills the power gauge. The text also notes that using the Takecopter for too long will drain the batteries. The page features character expressions that change depending on the situation, encouraging players to pay attention to the in-game characters' reactions during attacks or gadget usage. It mentions a song that is so amazing that it causes everyone to faint. The next page is an advertisement for Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, on the Nintendo 64, promising a thrilling 3D action experience with improved gameplay and customizable settings. It boasts enhanced environments and the ability to tweak various parameters. The ad details the flexibility of the game, allowing players to adjust settings like BGM volume and the intensity of blood and status displays. The options menu allows to fine-tune gameplay, allowing players to either heighten tension or enjoy a more cinematic experience. The player can adjust aiming sensitivity and other controls. The ad promotes the Bioraptor, which can be viewed by the player when the cheat code is enabled. The game will also start with the opening demo and includes the English translation of the text. The release date is March 28th, with the price to be determined. This page discusses the unique control scheme of Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, on the N64, highlighting that while the controls may seem initially complex, they are well designed and provide an immersive experience. The page breaks down the functions of each button on the N64 controller, including the L and R triggers for mapping and jumping, the C buttons for movement, A and B for weapon selection, the 3D stick for aiming, and the Z trigger for attacks. It emphasizes the importance of using the 3D stick for aiming, noting that it allows for complex actions like looking around while moving. The magazine mentions a training mode to master these controls and enhance the gaming experience through beginner to master level courses and improve performance. It breaks down training courses into beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. There's also a section on time attack mode, using the survival course to practice. The page gives a description of the various aspects of the training mode, with tips on traversing mazes. The next page is from Nintendo Power Magazine, focusing on 64 information from America. It highlights exclusive interviews with Nintendo game producers, including Shigeru Miyamoto. There are also never-before-seen screenshots of 2 titles, and a preview of the popular NBA basketball game. The USA Hotline Contents section promotes an interview with a Nintendo game producer, the latest N64 information on page 45, a preview of upcoming sports games, and NBA hang time on page 48. The page mentions the popularity of action and sports games in America. It notes that 64 game developers are continually releasing games, including golf games like Wave Race 64 and F1 World Grand Prix, Ascension, wrestling games, and the beleaguered Fluke Boy 64, which has seen its development path change to Trouble Racers. It also points out that sports and fighting games are popular in America, and that the N64 is well received there.
New game development news is arriving one after another.
This page is a topics section featuring an interview with Nintendo producers Shigeru Miyamoto and Tezuka about the upcoming Nintendo 64. Miyamoto discusses the Rumble Pack and its initial concept for fishing games, while Tezuka talks about enhancing graphics in games like Yoshi's Island 64 and The Legend of Zelda 64. Miyamoto explains that the Rumble Pack was designed to enhance the feeling of fish struggling on a line in fishing games, but it will also be used in other action games. He mentions that Star Fox 64 would likely be the first game to use the Rumble Pack. The page also features screenshots from Yoshi's Island 64, showcasing Tezuka's artistic vision, and discusses improvements in the N64 versions of games like Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox 64, compared to their Super Famicom counterparts.
And the team are aiming to implement these into the new Zelda 64 game.
The 64DD is mentioned as bringing new possibilities to the N64, and it is aimed to make good use of the 64DD to bring the game to life. The next page features a topics section, highlighting new games. Firstly, GoldenEye 007 for the N64 is previewed, with claims it will deliver a realistic experience, and promises intense action and bloody scenes. It mentions that the release in America is expected around March, but the Japanese release date is yet to be determined. The page also previews Dark Rift, a fighting game, highlighting its graphics, smooth animations, and camera angles, with characters designed as fantasy monsters and impressive special effects. There are also screenshots from the fighting game, Dark Rifts, highlighting the action and characters. This page, titled USA Hotline, showcases upcoming games from the USA, starting with Clay Fighter 63 1/3 for the N64. It praises the game's parodies of other fighting games like Street Fighter II, Mortal Kombat, and Killer Instinct, and highlights the 3D arenas where characters can move freely and even escape into separate rooms. The game will be compatible with the Rumble Pack. The page also mentions Hexen by GT Interactive, based on the PC game, featuring a dark fantasy setting, first-person shooter-style gameplay, and dungeons, and states the graphics of the N64 version are improved. It states that the game will be released in the USA this summer, with a Japanese release to be announced, and shows screenshots of Clay Fighter 63 1/3 and Hexen. The next page is a preview of NBA Hang Time for the N64. It highlights the game's unique action and immense popularity in arcades. The N64 version's release in America is imminent, though a Japanese release is yet to be determined. It emphasizes the game's over-the-top basketball action and the ability to create custom players using a pin system for personal file management. You can input your name and a 4-digit number to create your team.
You can improve player stats by winning games.
It also shows the team uniform selection and some of the funny faces that can be chosen. This page is dedicated to NBA Hang Time on the Nintendo 64, highlighting its over-the-top basketball action and the ability to play with up to 4 players simultaneously. The page details different game modes, including 1-player versus computer, 2-player cooperative or competitive modes, and a 4-player mode with 2-on-2 action. It also explains how to start the game, select players, and customize teams. The page showcases several NBA teams, including the Chicago Bulls, Seattle Supersonics, New York Knicks, and Philadelphia 76ers, and their star players like Michael Jordan, Shawn Kemp, Patrick Ewing, and Hakeem Olajuwon. It also features a trivia contest related to NBA players. The game's real NBA players, registered with 29 teams, are all featured. This page is a full-page advertisement for a Hyper TV Shield, designed to protect eyes from the harmful effects of TV and video games. It claims to cut ultraviolet rays, reduce glare, and improve clarity, ultimately reducing eye strain. The advert includes data from a Yokohama hospital study, a testimonial, and order information. This page of Famimaga Journal R presents a variety of information and items targeting fans. The page features information on the upcoming Tokimeki Memorial movie adaptation, as well as other Ogre Battle-related items. There's an advertisement for the release of a digital data collection from SFC's Tactics Ogre. Available on Crendrom for Windows and Macintosh, it includes screensavers using SFC graphics, wallpapers, and icons. A key feature is a database of Valeria Island, the game's setting. In the information section, a contest called Enix Internet Entertainment Contest is announced, with the grand prize being $20,000. The winning entry, Estructura, by the Crisis Group, is a puzzle game. The second Enix Game Software contest will be held this year. The competition is being held where 5 winners each will receive a free copy of Tactics Ogre Complete Works for Windows and Macintosh. The page also showcases Cosmical Animals, a network-based hide-and-seek game, and Football Labo, a soccer game where players give instructions from a manager's perspective. This page features a variety of announcements and promotions targeted at gamers. The Tokimeki Memorial movie adaptation is announced, and there's a call for actresses to audition for the role of Fujisaki Shiori. Details for applying are listed. A CD release for J2 is announced. This release contains the game's soundtrack with arranged versions. Also included is digital data for PCs, like screensavers. There's an announcement for a Dragon Quest special concert, conducted by Koichi Sugiyama. The concert will feature music from Dragon Quest II and includes stories about Sugiyama's experiences. The page also includes a contest where 15 people will win Tokimeki Memorial coasters, and 3 people will win J2 original soundtrack CDs. The next page is a magazine spread covering various media and merchandise related to video games and anime. A section called Goods highlights the Tamagotchi virtual pet. It describes it as a way to raise a virtual pet like a dog or cat, and notes its popularity. A new Tamagotchi version is announced for February. The CD, video and book section features Seeds for Moonlight Lips, featuring radio dramas, and My Sweet Valentine, featuring Fujisaki Shiori from Tokimeki Memorial. A Pocket Monsters encyclopedia book, highlighting various Pokemon and their data. The Super Famicom Dragon Quest II official guidebook. A winning Post-2 programming research book for the horse racing simulation game. A book comparing detectives Kosuke Kindaichi and Hajime Kindaichi. A Samurai Spirits Amakusa Kurin video. A Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water music video. The page includes a Sanrio Cup event at Sanrio Puroland, focusing on Mini 4WD Mini 4-wheel drive racing. It provides details on participation and prizes. Finally, there is information on how to apply for presents featured in the magazine by sending a postcard with specific details. This page is a guide for the arranged mode in the Game Boy Gallery game, offering tips to achieve high scores. The guide breaks down the gameplay into sections. Mastering diagonal movement stresses the importance of using the A button for diagonal movement to efficiently navigate the levels and avoid obstacles. High score strategies advises players to pay attention to the order in which characters appear and how they move. Character-specific tips provides 1-point advice for Yoshi and Luigi, with tips for Donkey Kong and others. The guide features screenshots and diagrams to illustrate the strategies and tips, focusing on games like Fireman and another game featuring Mario. It emphasizes understanding the different bouncing characteristics of characters like Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Toad to optimize gameplay.
This page covers tips and tricks for navigating the octopus level in a game, possibly from the Game Boy Gallery series. Peach's one-point advice. She suggests throwing collected treasure at the octopus's feet to escape if caught. Koopa's one-point advice. Advises players to drink oil to get a score bonus. The effect varies depending on whether you drink it on the left or right side. The page focuses on avoiding the octopus, collecting treasures, and swapping buckets to maximize scores. It highlights the importance of knowing the safe zones between the octopus's legs and predicting its movements. The article describes how to deal with bucket spills and also discusses how to unlock the challenging super difficult mode. This new mode features fast gameplay with a high difficulty level. The next page provides a complete walkthrough chart for the Detective Conan Underground Amusement Park Murder Case game on Game Boy. It aims to help players solve the game's 3 mysteries, offering strategy guides and tips for choosing the correct commands. The page highlights the importance of gathering information by speaking to characters and paying attention to sound effects. Players need to select the correct response to the game's mysteries, and the article warns that making wrong choices can prevent the case from being fully solved. The article then gives the player hints on how to successfully navigate the first case, Jet Coaster Murder Case, by speaking to all people around the roller coaster, the entrance to the maze and horror house. The page then indicates a flowchart for the player to follow to make the correct command choices, such as speaking with Makoto in the restaurant and what to examine in the amusement park. The game is sold by Bandai and is an action and adventure game. This page provides a complete walkthrough chart for 2 more cases in the Detective Conan Underground Amusement Park Murder Case game on Game Boy. It focuses on the Horror House Murder Case and Giant Maze Murder Case. For the Horror House case, players need to investigate all the dolls and talk to specific characters, including Horikoshi, while navigating the maze. Specific commands are needed when examining bodies and characters. The Giant Maze section guides players through the maze, instructing them to examine walls in a specific order to open new paths and retrieve a hidden treasure. The chart offers guidance on which characters to speak to and commands to use at specific locations. There's also a map of the giant maze for reference. The next page is a strategy guide for Kirby's Kira Kira Kids on the Game Boy. It emphasizes the importance of chain reactions in gameplay to unlock the Super Amazing mode. It provides tips on setting up chain reactions, mastering different chain types like the meteor type, and using chain reactions strategically. The page highlights different chain reaction patterns, including 2 chain combos, 3 chain combos, and advanced techniques. It also touches on lucky chain situations, where chains occur unexpectedly, often providing helpful bonuses. The guide gives advice on maximizing score and clearing stages efficiently using chain reactions. This page is a reader's request top 20 chart from Famimaga 64 magazine. The Legend of Zelda 64, provisional title, takes the top spot, aiming to continue the success of Mario Kart 64. GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 4 is in second place, while Super Mario RPG 2, provisional title, comes in third. Other notable games include Ganbare Goemon 5, Mother 3, provisional title, Super Famicom Dragon Quest 2, Pocket Monsters 2 Gold and Silver, Yoshi's Island 64, and Star Fox 64. The magazine notes that the release dates and prices for many of these games are still unconfirmed. It also mentions that Pocket Monsters 2 Gold is more popular than Pocket Monsters 2 Silver. The next page shows readers' rankings of new games as evaluated by Famimaga readers. Mario Kart 64 for the N64 tops the list with a score of 25.67. The review highlights its engaging characters, music, and originality. Other N64 games reviewed include Chowkukan Knight Pro Yakyu King, Super Space Knighter Pro Baseball King, with a score of 23.00, Mahjong Master with a score of 19.45, and J-League Perfect Striker with a score of 24.12, a soccer game. SFC games reviewed include Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion Let's and Go with a score of 22.66, Sugoroku Ginga Senki, Sugoroku Galaxy War with a score of 19.46, Street Fighter 02 with a score of 22.35, and
God Meza Mitoyo to Yobuko ga Kiko-e was a score of 19.54. This page features a ranking box with several brief game reviews. The first is Pinocchio for SFC, an action game from Capcom. With an overall score of 17.40, it is noted to be based on the Disney animated film Donald Duck's Maui Mallard for SFC, another action game from Capcom, received an overall score of 20.06, with Donald Duck becoming a ninja. Kuwanpa SFC from T&E Soft, a puzzle game for SFC, received 17.11 overall, focusing on matching puzzle pieces. Nishijin Pachinko 3 for SFC, a pachinko game from KSS, scored 19.05 overall, and includes CR Yataruda and CR Magic Box pachinko machines. Pocket Puyo Puyo Tsu for GB from Compile, a puzzle game scoring 22.90 overall, is noted for its special techniques. Bomberman Beat'em for SFC from Hudson, a shooting game, scored 21.00 overall, with the gameplay involving firing marbles and detonating bombs. Midori no Makibao for GB from Tomy, an action game, scored 21.81, involving raising Makibao to win races. Gege no Kitaro Yukai Creation Master for GB, a role-playing game from Bandai, scoring 19.48 overall, lets you fight with recruited monsters. Crayon Shin-chan Aura's Gokigen Collection for GB, an action game from Bandai, scored 20.65 and includes 14 minigames and story modes. Lastly, Bomberman GB3 for GB from Hudson, an action game, received 22.85 overall and features new items. This page shows brief game reviews and commentary for various titles. Mini 4 Boy for the GB, a simulation game with a score of 20.10, focuses on assembling and tuning a Mini 4WD to win races. Snoopy's First Errand for GB, a puzzle game with a score of 20.00, involves guiding Snoopy to the goal using arrows and items. Super Black Bass Pocket for GB, a fishing game scoring 19.11, is a smaller version of the Super Black Bass game for SFC. There is a section titled Dragon Quest II Game Evaluation, with commentary, including character customization and the game's graphics, and BGM. The comments touch on elements such as events changing the story, character personality, the impact of the personality system, and a comparison between the FC and SFC versions. The opinions expressed are varied. The next page is a collection of reader reviews for Mario Kart 64. Readers share their thoughts on graphics, gameplay, and features like the character roster and track design. Some appreciate the improved visuals and the thrill of racing, while others mention difficulties with the controls and the visibility in 4-player split-screen mode. Specific comments highlight the fun of playing with friends, the excitement of item usage, and the addition of characters like Wario. Readers also give feedback on elements like course difficulty and music. The page also features a call for readers to submit their impressions of J-League Perfect Striker. The magazine is offering a special Famimaga telecard to 10 lucky contributors. This page shows the weekly top-selling games charts. The ranking for the week of December 16th to 22nd sees Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion Let's Go at number 1, overtaking Mario Kart 64. Super Famicom Dragon Quest II is third, followed by Super Donkey Kong 3. J-League Perfect Striker, and Street Fighter 02 both hold 5th place. New releases are making a splash, with Mario Kart 64 still maintaining a strong position. The ranking for the week of December 23rd to 29th lists Mario Kart 64 as number 1, taking the crown from Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion. Super Famicom Dragon Quest II remains in 2nd place. Pocket Monsters rises to 4th, while Super Donkey Kong 3 falls to 5th. J-League Perfect Striker and Space Invaders claim 9th and 10th places, respectively. Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion drops to 3rd place. The next page shows the weekly top-selling games charts for December 30th to January 5th and January 6th to 12th. For December 30th to January 5th, Mario Kart 64 reclaims the top spot. Super Famicom Dragon Quest II is 2nd, and Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion Let's Go is 3rd. Pocket Monsters is 4th, and Super Donkey Kong 3 is 5th. Super Space Invaders and J-League Perfect Striker also appear in the top 10. For January 6th to 12th, Mario Kart 64 remains at number 1. Super Famicom Dragon Quest II is 2nd, and Mini Yonku Shining Scorpion is 3rd. Pocket Monsters is 4th, and Super Donkey Kong 3 is 5th. J-League Perfect Striker and Space Invaders also appear in the chart. This page is an invitation to the reader to give their opinion on the magazine's content. It asks readers to fill out a survey, indicating their school/occupation, age, gender, favorite magazines, and console ownership. Readers can also select the types of articles they would like to see more of, such as Super Famicom, Famicom, Game Boy, Virtual Boy, or Nintendo 64 content. The page also has a reader prize draw, with the chance to win one of 6 games: Super Bomberman 5, ITOI Shigesato's #1 Bass Fishing, Gonpuru, Mirandra, Pikiinya, and Game Boy Gallery, with 10 winners per game and an explanation of how to enter. The page contains a sample entry to clarify how to fill out the form correctly. Finally, the page lists the winners of the number 12 Reader's Prize Draw for Parlor Mini 4, Dragon Quest II, Momotaro Dentetsu Happy, Momotaro Collection 2, and Namco Gallery Volume 2. The next page lists the reader's present games, split into 4 sections: Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and Virtual Boy. The Nintendo 64 section includes titles such as Blastozer, Zero 64, Kirby's Air Ride, Chameleon Twist, Ganbare Goemon 5, Bomberman 64, Mario Kart 64, and J-League Dynamite Soccer 64, among others. The Super Famicom section features games like Amegami-sama, Oh My Goddess, Animanix, ITOI Shigesato's Bass Fishing #1, Gonpuru, and Super Bomberman 5. The Game Boy section highlights games like Kirby's Kira Kira Kids, the Pokemon series, Tetris Plus, and a variety of other titles. Finally, the Virtual Boy section contains games such as Out of the Death Mount, Virtual Block, and Proteus Zone. Also, there are 4 tables listing the most popular magazines, consoles, and this month's articles. This page is an advert for Super Bomberman 5 on the Super Famicom, highlighting the game's features and modes. It introduces normal and battle game modes, with enhanced Louie characters and their abilities. The game also has an achievement system, where the player is evaluated on the progress, and depending on the route, there are multiple endings, with some leading to bad endings. The game is releasing on February 28th, and the price is 6,980 yen. The next page continues the coverage of Super Bomberman 5 on the Super Famicom, highlighting enhanced rules and gameplay elements. The Super Dodge system allows players who have been eliminated to throw bombs from outside the play area, offering a chance to revive. The Random Sudden Death mode introduces shrinking playfields and falling blocks, adding complexity to battles. 7 types of Louie characters are introduced, each with unique abilities. These include the Kellouie for kicking bombs, the Gallouie for kicking soft blocks, the Hana-Louie that hops over blocks, the Magica-Louie for setting off all bombs simultaneously, the Mar-Louie that rolls quickly, the Nag-Louie for punching opponents, and the War-Louie, a Louie ridden by enemies. The page also showcases power-up items, such as Fire for increasing bomb power, Bomb Up for adding more bombs, Speed Up for faster movement, Bomb Kick for kicking bombs, Punch for punching bombs, Power Glove for throwing bombs, Full Fire for maximum bomb power, Geta for slowing down movement, Block Pass for moving through soft blocks,
Bomb Pass for moving through bombs, Invincible Suit for temporary invincibility, Heart for preventing a single mistake, 1-Up for adding a life, Timer for stopping time briefly, and various types of eggs that spawn different Louies. New items like Landmine Bomb and Pursuit Bomb are also introduced, offering diverse attack methods.
This page continues with Super Bomberman 5, discussing the game's structure. The single-player game features 100 stages across 5 zones, with the route to the final boss, Emperor Terrorin, branching out via warp holes. The game highlights the differences between the zones and what to expect.
Zone 1 features relatively easy stages, with middle bosses using bomber wall or landmine bombs.
Zone 2 has trampoline floors that require precise timing and stages with lava pits. Zone 3 includes whirlpools and quicksand, requiring players to discern the flow of the stage. Zone 4 involves time-slip stages with primitive eras and minecarts. And Zone 5 features magnetic stages that can attract bombs. The page features screenshots of each of these zones and give brief tips on the enemies and the game.
This page details the multiplayer aspects of Super Bomberman 5, which supports up to 5 players in 3 different modes. Players can choose from 9 Bomberman characters. Winning matches allows players to enter mini-games where they can get items to power up their Bomberman. There are 10 stages to choose from, each offering unique challenges such as slippery floors. The page highlights various stages, including a fast-paced stage, a dark stage with limited light, a maze-like stage, a conveyor belt stage, and a trap-filled stage. There are also stages featuring minecarts, ice, and bomb kicking. The page also showcases the Maniac mode, where players can customize stages and select from 15 item types. Additionally, players can create their own Bomberman through the Config Battle mode, combining 9 types of body parts and 6 colors to adjust their abilities. This page is an advertisement for Itoi Shigesato no Bass Tsuri No. 1. Shigesato Itoi's Bass Fishing No. 1. A fishing game for the Super Famicom developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo. The game promises a realistic fishing experience supervised by Shigesato Itoi. The ad highlights the game's detailed systems and aims to appeal to both beginners and experienced anglers. It mentions the game's tournament mode, which allows players to compete with Shigesato Itoi himself via the Saint Giga satellite service, scheduled for broadcast in April and May. And players can get equipment and base at Lake Kakuzu and Lake Akaboshi. The next page provides an overview of the core gameplay mechanics of Itoi Shigesato no Base Tsuri No. 1. The page details the Base Anglers Club back card, a key element for progression. Players join the back and can freely fish in Lake Akaboshi. Points and stamps are recorded on this card, earned by catching bass and participating in tournaments. These points, called FP, fish points, are used to buy tackle at the shop. The gameplay loop involves catching bass to earn FP, exchanging grams of bass weight for FP, purchasing better tackle with FP, and participating in tournaments. A separate stamp system is also in place, earned by placing high in tournaments, required to rank up and participate in higher level tournaments. The page also mentions that catching ghetto fish, like bluegill, will give less points. You can rent boats using your points. The process for tournaments, from entering a competition to winning tournaments and earning stamps, is explained, including the short tournament and local tournament. It also highlights the possibility of entering pro tournaments and 2 days tournaments, with the opportunity to face professional anglers. The next page continues the Itoi Shigesato no Bass Tsuri No. 1 feature, focusing on facilities at Lake Akaboshi. The page shows that you can fast travel to different zones around the lake using your car. There's the boathouse, where you can rent boats with FP, and the tackle shop owned by Shigesato Itoi himself, where you can buy tackle. A key element is cleaning up trash for FP. You can also take a break at a specific rest house and access back member information about bass and Lake Akaboshi. The game also features back headquarters, where you can do all things relating to the bass fishing organization. You can also enter local fishing tournaments. The page mentions tournaments, results, and weigh-in events, and the weigh-in venue. There is also a quiz in the rest house for bass-related quizzes to win prizes. This page is a guide on bass fishing techniques in Itoi Shigesato no Bass Tsuri No. 1. It explains different types of tackle including rods, reels, lures, and rigs, and the combinations needed to catch bass. There are 4 types of tackle: rods, spinning and bait; reels, spinning and bait casting; lures, hard and soft; and rigs. The page details how to cast, retrieve lures, set the hook, a waist, fight the fish, and land it. Casting involves using the D-P-A-D to select a spot and the A button to cast. Backlashes can occur if you're using a bait caster, so be careful. Retrieving lures involves using the A button to reel and the D-P-A-D to move the rod. Setting the hook involves pressing A and X at the same time. When the fish is hooked, the power meter indicates the tension on the line, and to avoid breaking the line, you must control the tension by releasing the spool and retrieving the line while matching the fish's movements. Once close enough, the landing process brings the bass within 0.9 meters to be caught. The next page is an advertisement for Mini Yonku GB Let's and Go,
a mini 4WD racing game for the Game Boy. The advert highlights the game's features, emphasizing its compact nature, detailed data on parts, and the ability to race against friends using the Game Boy's communication cable. The game allows players to customize their machines and test settings. Screenshots show various aspects of the game, including a character interacting at a model shop, diverse racetracks, and the race interface with lap times and leaderboards. The game includes familiar characters from the Mini 4WD series and features official races. The advertisement also lists several car models and part upgrades available in the game, with prices. The game, developed by ASC2, is slated for release in March and will be priced at 5,500 yen. It supports 13 colors, simulation RPG elements, and a backup save. This page is an advert for the Game Boy title Mini Yonku GB Let's and Go, focusing on the dedication to parts and detailed data, also highlighting the communication cable feature for trading and battling. The game boasts over 200 parts, each described in detail so players can understand how they will affect their Mini 4WD. The parts have a consumption meter and will become inoperable if used beyond the set amount. There are 8 categories that make up each part with detailed statistics. The game also offers boxes and a warehouse to store parts and machine setups. The page shows that players can fully customize their machines. You can split and rebuild your machine in many ways to create the ultimate machine. The game is slated for release in March. You can play against others in official races and edit races. The next page details how to win races and progress in the story of Mini Yonku GB Let's and Go, covering collecting parts, finding rivals, setting up machines, and understanding course elements. The player explores the town searching for rivals, visiting locations such as the model shop, park, and school. The game uses a convenient movement system, memorizing locations players visit and allowing quick return trips. The page also describes elements of races. Victory is determined by one-on-one races or by finishing a set number of laps. Weather conditions affect races, requiring different tire choices. There are multiple courses to choose from. The player can also enter the pit during a race to change parts, but this will cause a time loss. You can also see your record and can save course data. This page dives deeper into Mini Yonku GB Let's and Go by revealing story elements and gameplay features. It starts by introducing the protagonist, who receives pocket money to buy a Mini 4WD. The story begins at home. Players will visit a model shop to buy a car, and then head to school to race and defeat rivals like Kurosawa. Eventually, the player will reach the Tokyo Autumn Cup. Locations such as the park and school become battlegrounds. Kurosawa and his group will challenge the player. It also teases a secret hidden within the car parts, hinting at a larger plot involving a character named Professor Tetsushin from ZMC. Also on the page are various Mini 4WD cars, including Hurricane Sonic, Black Saber, and Spin Cobra. The Tokyo Tower, a famous landmark, is visible in the game during the Autumn Cup. The next page is an advertisement for Gunman's Proof, a Western action RPG, where the player controls a young gunman. The advertisement highlights the action-packed gameplay where you can shoot enemies, dodge bullets, and use various weapons. At the start of the game, you start with a pistol, but can acquire 5 different types of guns. Locations include a weapon shop where you can learn about weapons and buy new ones. The page shows several weapons, including a burner gun, bazooka, shotgun, machine gun, and a pistol. With the burner gun, you can set enemies on fire, and you can do a charged shot for more power. The game also features special attacks like punches. There are items like a water set that allow you to move in water. The bombs are also powerful weapons that can be used to clear out enemies or open new paths. The game is set to be released on January 31st, and the price is 8,000 yen. The next page introduces Gunman's Proof, a Super Famicom action RPG set on Strange Island in 1880, where a young boy teams up with a pair of space sheriffs after monsters begin appearing. The hero, who is possessed by one of the space sheriffs, explores a Western-themed world. The hero can ride a horse called Roboton and uses carrots to boost its abilities. Dungeon boss battles feature traps and enemies with weaknesses that must be exploited. Also showcased are characters like Burajiru Maru, Mustafa, and Combatant 1 and 2, described as members of the Demised Army with comical personalities. This page covers the Super Famicom RPG Malandra. It highlights the story of rescuing Princess Priscilla, the turn-based combat, and the game's unique dungeons that change each time you enter. Players assemble a party of characters, each with unique skills, to battle enemies and confront the evil wizard Sherlock. The page showcases various character classes like Seek, Monk, Blue Spellcaster, Red Spellcaster, Knight, and Warrior, detailing their strengths and weaknesses. A release date of January 31st and a price of 7,800 yen are also mentioned. This page delves into the Super Famicom game Melandra, focusing on tips and tricks for navigating the castle and rescuing Princess Priscilla. It emphasizes strategic planning, understanding character abilities, and utilizing items effectively. The page details gameplay mechanics such as finding hidden items, recovering HP/MP at base camps, and various dungeon features like magical circles, wells, and goddess statues. It also touches upon combat tactics and unique character attacks, as well as the dungeon's changing layout that makes each playthrough unique. The page mentions base shops and also comments that the success of opening treasure chests depends on the player's level. The next page is a guide for professional baseball star on the Super Famicom, focusing on how to excel in hitting with varied pitch heights. It highlights the strategic depth of high and low pitches, emphasizing the pitcher-batter dynamic, and explains the importance of reading the pitch height in the game. The page also introduces the Director mode, where players can manage the team and call signs during the game. It gives advice on using killed ball and spirit signs to control the pitcher and recover stamina. The guide offers tips for beginners, simplifying the batting and pitching mechanics. The control and gameplay techniques are explained for hitting with high and low balls, and team strategy explained to give the player advantage. The page features screenshots from the game, showing in-game action and the interface. It mentions various offensive and defensive strategies, like bunts, squeeze plays, and stealing. It also includes a chart that shows the different pitch heights and how they appear in the game. This page is a guide for the Super Famicom game Professional Baseball Star, focusing on developing a player from their youth. It highlights the importance of character creation, where players can customize their character's appearance, position, and dominant hand. The guide also illustrates the path to becoming a professional baseball player, starting from junior high school, leading to high school, university, and eventually the professional league. It advises players to balance training with rest, to avoid injuries, and maximize their player's potential. The guide also explains various events that can affect a player's stats, such as sudden attribute changes, like a teammate stealing the player's wallet. It introduces the concept of creating a unique baseball team with customized players, where players can scout and recruit talent. Screenshots show different stages of the game, including training sessions, rivalries, and in-game action. The next page is an advertisement for the Super Famicom game Piquiña. This puzzle game involves clearing falling Piquiña characters and ice blocks. Aligning 6 Piquiña characters clears them. Ice blocks can only be cleared in a horizontal row. The game features normal stages, endless mode, stage tool, the Andes deathmatch, and endurance race modes. It supports 12 players. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy game Zoop from Yanoman, scheduled for release on January 31st. The objective is to eliminate approaching enemies and defend your territory. You clear enemies by shooting your own blocks at enemies of the same pattern. The game features special techniques like reverse and change for strategic gameplay. Items can reverse situations, and the page highlights bonus springs, pattern bombs, and line bombs. It also advises players to strategically use power-up items and to quickly grab items when they appear. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the game Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, advertising its release in March 1997. It highlights the immersive 360-degree 3D environments, diverse weapons, and realistic monster battles. The advertisement is from Acclaim Japan. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. The advertisement highlights the game's interactive shooting, prehistoric and futuristic environments, and diverse monsters like dinosaurs, robots, and alien beasts. It boasts features such as a real-time mapping system and customizable weapons. This page delves into tips and techniques for Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64, focusing on achieving the fastest times. It highlights the importance of precise line taking as a key to speed. The page presents a ranking list of the top players from the first round of the Mushroom Cup on the Luigi circuit, showcasing their best times and characters used. The winner is Miyamoto Tadaki from Saitama Prefecture, with a time of 14,128 using Toad. The page offers advice on how to improve lap times, including alternating mini-turbos and mushroom boosts, using shortcuts at the first and final corners, and drifting on straightaways. The page also shows screenshots of gameplay, offering visual aids for the techniques described. The next page continues the Mario Kart 64 guide focusing on the Luigi circuit. It showcases a stage replay featuring Miyamoto's driving techniques, aiming to help players emulate his skills and achieve faster lap times. The guide breaks down the track into sections, offering specific strategies for each. It emphasizes using mini-turbos on the first corner, drifting around tunnel areas while staying close to the wall, and utilizing shortcuts with mushrooms and mini-turbos on the final corner. Screenshots illustrate these techniques, providing visual guidance. The page also announces a competition for the fastest times on the Star Cup's Peach circuit, inviting players to submit VHS tapes of their gameplay. It provides contact information for submissions and mentions that entries must arrive by February 21st. This page delves into new discoveries within Mario Kart 64, specifically focusing on unlocking ghost data. The guide details the conditions needed for ghosts to appear, presenting them as a reward for skilled play. The page introduces O-Make mode, unlocked by achieving gold cups in all 150cc Mario GP classes. This mode mirrors existing courses, flipping their layouts horizontally. It also features changes to the title screen, presenting a sunset version. The guide explains that Luigi's ghost data unlocks in time attack mode on Luigi circuit by recording a time under 14,900. The page indicates that fast times on Mario circuit and Peach circuit unlock ghost data for Mario and Peach, respectively. Interestingly, it suggests that the Luigi ghost data may be from a Nintendo developer. The next page unveils secrets in Hyperspace Niter Pro Baseball King, focusing on accessing hidden features. One trick involves instantly triggering the game's ending by connecting two controllers and holding specific buttons during the title screen. Another feature lets players manipulate stadium size. Within the stadium selection screen, holding specific trigger buttons while pressing directional buttons allows stadium size modification. Additionally, players can interrupt any pennant race, stopping the game by pressing specific buttons during the pause menu. The page also reveals hidden game modes within Minionku Shining Scorpion Let's Go! One mode removes course boundaries by inputting a specific sequence at the title screen. Another enables unlimited purchasing power by inputting another code at the title screen. Successful entry is marked by a sound cue. Lastly, the page shares tips for mastering command input in Minionku Shining Scorpion Let's Go, emphasizing precision and rhythm in button presses. There are commands to remove course boundaries and enable free purchases. This page is a reader submission section featuring tips and tricks for Dragon Quest II on Super Famicom. One tip covers enjoying post-game content by defeating the final boss and accessing a hidden area with stronger enemies and a final boss battle. Another tip explains how to receive special equipment by beating the game solo as the hero, returning to the king, and being recognized for your accomplishment. It recommends using the Staff of Impunity or the Sword of Kusanagi in the solo Baramos fight. A third tip details leveling up characters to unlock the Sage class by increasing a character's level to 20. The page also describes finding the Ugon no Tsum, Golden Claw, in a pyramid. It increases encounter rates. There's an image of a party that is all level 20. Also, there are screenshots of dungeons and towers. The next page is titled Super Ultra Techniques and covers tips and tricks for various games. First is Hidden Stage Showdown for Street Fighter 02 on Super Famicom. It explains how to unlock the hidden Great Plains stage, where Ryu and Ken fight in the opening. The tip involves selecting Sagat and pressing Start on the stage select screen. Next is a tip for Mario Kart 64 on Nintendo 64, titled Drowning in Peach's Castle. It details how to drive through the Peach's Castle wall on the Peach Circuit track to fall into the water. This involves using a mushroom, approaching the castle, and using the R trigger to jump. Finally, there's Monster Transformation for Wizardry Gaiden IV on Super Famicom. It tells how to view the graphics of monsters by progressing to the 10th floor of the training hall and handing over the monster manual to a man, then going back inside the training hall to fight and look at the new monster graphics. The second tip is to press left and right on the D-pad to change a monster, and press the B button to exit the graphics viewing mode. There's also a table titled List of Monsters That Are Hard to Find, listing monster names, corresponding training hall floors, and main spawning locations.
This table is skipped. The page includes a support character named Skill Boys Mini Support. This page is titled Everyone's Bulletin Board and features tips and tricks for various games. First is Exciting St. Andrews, for an unspecified game where players can change outfits, adjust the green's display, and change their character's height. You can change the outfit of the golfer by pressing the CAC button. To adjust the green's display, go to the screen settings and turn on the grid to see the contours of the green. You can also change your character's height from 10 to 255 centimeters in the player configuration screen using the C buttons and a button. Next is Changing Clothes in Street Fighter 02 on Super Famicom, where you can change Chun-Li's outfit to her China dress by highlighting her on the character select screen and pressing start. Finally, there's a tip for Bomberman GB3, where you can battle all the bosses by entering the password Deb1F7F at the password input screen. Defeat all the bosses to get a rank. The next page showcases Super Ultra techniques, with tips for warping in Donkey Kong Land area on Super Famicom. It highlights specific techniques. Main Mast Crisis. Start at the right side of the third mast and use Dixie's ponytail spin to the left. Pirate Panic. Pass the first mast, go to the right, and use Dixie's ponytail spin to enter a barrel. Latori Tojo. Enter an animal barrel and transform into Latori. Big jump at the start and slightly left. Funazoko Diving. Dive underwater immediately after the start. Stick to the right wall and go under and enter the hidden barrel. Athletic Deck. Jump right from the top of the start to the next hook. Spin right using Dixie's ponytail. There are instructions on how to obtain items in Mario Kart 64. Specifically, how to manipulate item boxes in time attack mode. It also mentions how to unlock special screens in an unspecified game by inputting passwords, listing specific in-game scenarios, and their corresponding passwords. The next page is titled Everyone's Message Board and features reader submissions with tips and tricks for Nintendo 64 games. One submission details a glitch in Mario Kart 64's Choco Mountain, where players can spin in circles by repeatedly pressing a Sana and RAR trigger near a specific sign. Another submission describes how to get stuck in Coconut Beach. A third Mario Kart 64 submission explains how to clip through terrain in Mario Kart 64 at the Caracara Desert Course and fall through water. There's a section for how to shoot shells through objects in Mario Kart 64. Also, how to launch yourself into the air on Yoshi Valley. Finally, a tip on how to climb rock faces in Mario Kart 64. The page also includes a section for Dragon Quest II Eyes on Super Famicom, noting that the party leader will remain transformed and how a mother will be saddened. The next page is titled Super Ultra Techniques and showcases reader-submitted strategies for various games. One section highlights a Super Mario 64 technique on the Nintendo 64. Specifically in Rainbow Cruise, where collecting 99 coins and then grabbing the 100th while riding a moving carpet triggers a power star. Another section focuses on Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Famicom. This demonstrates a glitch where Diddy Kong becomes transparent in the Snowy Mountain stage. The trick involves precisely timing a throw of Dixie Kong to defeat an enemy, causing Diddy to fall into a hole and trigger a change in music. Additionally, a technique for Donkey Kong Country 3 involves passing through a shutter in Cremwood Forest. This involves making contact with a buddy while in a specific state, causing Donkey Kong to pass through a shutter. Finally, a hidden message is detailed for Momotaro Dentetsu Happy on the Super Famicom. This involves finding a specific location on the world map using regional data to reveal hidden messages. The page also includes a call for submissions, offering prizes and awards for the best tips. There are gold, silver, bronze, and wood coin prizes consisting of Famimaga 64 merchandise and book vouchers. The page provides an address and fax number for submissions, along with a note that phone inquiries are not accepted. This page is an advertisement for the BS Tante Club, or BS Detective Club, for the Satellaview system, a Super Famicom add-on. The article focuses on a new game where you play as Ayumi Tachibana and solve mysteries. In this game, she investigates a murder. It introduces the voice cast and showcases screenshots from the game, as well as the system used to play the game. The page details gameplay mechanics, such as clicking on the screen to investigate areas and speaking to characters, and notes the importance of listening carefully to the dialogue. It also introduces a family tree for the characters, noting this will be helpful, and also lists many of the main voice casts, including Yuko Hikasa as Sachi Tachibana and Taikei Tomita as Shintaro Tachibana,
It features a selection of the game characters including police, detectives, the Tachibana family, and related people to the case. The next page gives a brief summary of the upcoming BS Detective Club game, where you play as Ayumi Tachibana investigating a murder, and notes the importance of speaking to characters and listening to the dialogue. The story starts at the house of the murdered former village mayor, Kuzono Kuzo. In the game, Ayumi learns that the Kuzono and Tachibana families don't get along. You'll need to check the crime scene and talk to people, but someone will get in your way. The page also details gameplay mechanics, such as selecting things to investigate in different rooms. Ayumi reflects on the day, and the article teases the shocking truth, before giving a schedule of upcoming games and data broadcasts for the Satellaview, including SD Gundam Next, Wild Guns, Sankey Fever, BS Marvelous, Ski Paradise, RPG Tsukuru 2. This page is a reader submission section titled RGB Maniac, featuring New Year's card-style artwork and messages from fans. Readers send in their art and greetings for the new year. The page includes several drawings with messages, featuring fan art of original characters, video game characters such as Mario, and the author of the article's own character. The article itself discusses a game called Hihatov Monogatari, which was recommended to the author by a friend. The next page presents Fan Letter Maniac's Garden, a section for reader submissions. It features a ranking of the Star Ocean characters that appear most frequently in fan art, with Millie in the top spot, followed by Lati, and then Sikas and Dorn. The author expresses surprise at Millie's popularity. New corner ideas are proposed, such as a message board dedicated to Hawkeye from Seiken Densetsu 3, Trials of Mana. There is a section displaying fan art, including collaborative works and individual pieces featuring characters from various games such as Romancing Saga 2, Gaia Gensuki, Illusion of Gaia, and Valkyrie Profile. The page also includes comments and feedback on the submitted artwork. This page is 4-Panel Maniac, a section dedicated to humorous, game-related comics and reader submissions. The 4-panel comics address various topics, including Aladi's skill level is one comic showing a character struggling with an item combination in Star Ocean, a comic about Stragos in danger from Final Fantasy VI, a comic about Final Fantasy V, and the characters Tina and Silas. Reader submissions include a comic about Realms Teruteru Bozu, a comic about Janet's favorite food, a comment that people think Hawkeye is similar to an actress in Japan. The page also includes a section on the origins of readers' pen names, with contributors sharing the stories and meanings behind their online identities. This page is a Maniac-themed picture gallery featuring fan-submitted illustrations based on the theme of 10 Years Later. It showcases how fans imagine characters from various games would look, and what they would be doing a decade after their respective games' events. The theme heavily favored Charlotte, resulting in a special focus on her. Games and characters featured include Seiken Densetsu 3 Trials of Mana, Tales of Phantasia, Star Ocean, and Final Fantasy VI. Some submissions depict characters in humorous or unexpected situations, like a wedding proposal, or having become ordinary adults. One submission imagines the character Robin from the Mana series as a future version of themselves, implying they might be the same person. There's also a nod to the Charlotte character, suggesting she might be part fairy. The page announces the second character contest, inviting readers to submit illustrations by February 14th, with a prize of an original phone card for 64 winners. It also shares character popularity rankings from the submissions, listing games and characters by points received, such as Riz, from Seiken Densetsu 3 at the top. Also included is a list of games by the total number of points received, such as Seiken Densetsu 3, Tales of Phantasia, and Star Ocean. Finally, it provides contact information for submitting contributions, including the address for Famimaga 64 and RGB Maniac. The next page advertises Famimaga Land, a place where you can play upcoming games. It operates every Saturday and Sunday, with Sundays offering special Member Day benefits, including a 1,000 yen transportation allowance for members. The venue is accessible via junior lines, Keio and Musashino, the Yurakucho subway line, and the Rinkai Fukutoshin line, with a stop at Shinkiba Station. Bus routes include the Yume 01 line from Kinshicho Station, Junior, and the Ki 11 line from Toyocho Station, Subway. Upcoming game previews available to play are listed, including PlayStation titles like Okutsu Curse Game and Dragon Knight 4, as well as Saturn titles like Tsukyu Gurentai, Area 51, Simulation Zoo, and Hypersecurity S.
A later event on February 8th and 9th features games like Batman Forever the Arcade Game, Azito Ahito, Love Games Weiwei Tennis, Magic Carpet, Harmful Park, Tomb Raiders, and Top Gun Fire at Will for PlayStation, and Batman Forever the Arcade Game, Amakusa Shiro Tokisada, Daina Iran Puyo Puyo Sun, Sakura Taisen Hanagumi Tsushin, Cleopatra Fortune, and Elevator Action returns for February 15th event highlights GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4. The latest issue features a cover story on 3 N64 titles, Tukon Inbu Brave Spirits, Soccer 64, and Turok. The page teases the next issue's coverage of Yuki Yuke, Troublemakers, and announces the release of Dragon Quest V2 on PlayStation. Contact information for Famimaga Weekly is provided for inquiries.
This page is an advertisement for the Secrets of Electronics kit, promising to teach you about electronics while building fun projects. Over 50,000 people have experienced the Air Hobby Electronics Workshop. With the kit, you can create a variety of electronic gadgets easily, including bathwater alert systems using temperature sensors, sound-reactive robots, and light-blocking security devices. Even if you're not mechanically inclined, it's designed to be accessible. The ad also encourages readers to send in a postcard to receive a free guide to the secrets of electronics. It provides a phone number, 033-317-2811, for urgent inquiries, available from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. year-round, and gives the address for the Tokyo Hobby Center. The next page is a continuation of the advertisement for the Secrets of Electronics course from Tokyo Hobby Center. It highlights the fun and accessible nature of learning electronics through hands-on projects. Featured projects include an FM mini broadcasting station, a line tracer robot, a Navius robot, a WOW robot, and an intercom. The ad emphasizes that no prior knowledge of electronics is required, as the course covers everything from basic techniques like soldering to project assembly. Materials are included, allowing participants to dive right in. Readers are prompted to cut out the postcard at the bottom of the page, attach it to thicker paper, and mail it in to receive a free guide to the course. Instructions are provided on how to properly prepare and send the postcard. The next page features 2 Super Famicom RPGs, Solid Runner and Dark Law, Meaning of Death. Solid Runner is set in a near future where you play as a detective. The protagonist, known as a runner, wears a powered suit and takes on missions involving finding people and battling enemies. The story kicks off with an incident that leads the hero to confront a criminal organization called Barbaria. The game lets you equip up to 4 weapons at once and features battles that require strategic decision-making. Dark Law, Meaning of Death, is set in the town of Shinoa Town, where you can choose various jobs and live your life. The game features a dynamic storyline that changes based on your actions and has 24 different job classes to explore. This page features advertisements and information about several Super Famicom games. First up is Animaniacs, a Steven Spielberg-produced game by Konami, releasing March 7th, and featuring the 3 Warner brothers in a side-scrolling adventure where they try to recover stolen film footage. The game is filled with parodies of famous movies and involves various traps and enemies. Next is Netu Puzzle Stadium, a baseball-themed puzzle game by Coconut Japan Entertainment, scheduled for release in late March. The game combines baseball elements with puzzle gameplay, where players match colored blocks to score runs, with team mascots making an appearance. Additionally, the page advertises the Super Famicom pachinko games Parlor Mini 5 and CR Doron Ninja-kun V, both from Nihon Telenet, which are pachinko simulators. The page also has a summary of features for the CR Doron Ninja-kun V machine, and mentions the CR Hana no Moguragumi V successor machine. This page introduces a few titles, starting with Magic Ball, a Super Famicom action game about a slime who is transformed by a wizard. The player, along with their friends and a dog, must defeat the wizard to return to their original forms using unique slime abilities. It is scheduled for release on March 14th by PAL, priced at 6,800 yen. Next is Japanese History Target 201, a Game Boy title from Imagineer, aimed at studying Japanese history through a game format with quizzes and various historical themes. It includes different study modes and features a special edition. It is scheduled for release on January 24th, priced at 2,050 yen. The last game highlighted is Taito Variety Pack, a Game Boy compilation of 4 classic Taito arcade games. These games include Bubble Bobble, Chase HQ, Elevator Action, and Surgeia. It is scheduled for release on February 28, priced at 3,800 yen.
Please provide the text you would like me to summarize.
The next page is a preview of the upcoming issue, promising coverage of Star Fox 64, also known as Lilat Wars in Europe, GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 4, and a guide to playing Turok. There's also a complete strategy for Super Bomberman 5, covering all 100 stages. This page also lists upcoming Game Boy and Virtual Boy releases, along with some re-release titles.
Game Boy releases.
Various installments in the Gukaku Boy series, targeting history education. Kirby's Star Stacker. Zoop. Game Boy Gallery. Chalvo 55. Taito Variety Pack. Mini Yonku GB Let's Go! Charizard Legend and Mahjong Legend. Pokemon Gold and Silver. Virtual Boy releases. Starseed. Proteus Zone. Out of the Death Mount. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Fierce Fighting Legend.
Virtual Block. Nintendo 64 Hardware. Nintendo 64 Rumble Pack. Nintendo 64 Disk Drive. Re-releases. Mystery Dungeon. Shiren the Wanderer. GB Moon Shadow Village Monster. Super Spatial Niter Pro Baseball King Day. The page also features some early news about price changes for 64 software, including Blastozer, and discusses Enix's development for PlayStation and Saturn. It mentions the upcoming Pachislo Kanzen Kuryaku series from Nihon System, and features screenshots of the CC Angel and Dunkshoot 2 pachinko machines. Finally, there's a brief explanation of the calendar-style game release chart.
This page is a full-page advertisement for Konami's GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 4 on the Nintendo 64, boasting enhanced features. The ad highlights the game's release date of February 28, with a suggested retail price of 9,800 yen, and mentions that ABC sports announcer Noriyuki Abe is providing commentary. It also notes the game has officially licensed from Nippon Professional Baseball Corporation and uses IBM BIS Pro Baseball official record data with approval from Tokyo Dome. It promotes the immersive gameplay, the ability to arrange teams, and various game modes including a new success mode and the standard modes like a pennant, league, arrange, and camp. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Konami's GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 3x97 Spring for the Super Famicom, set to release on March 20th. It shows a promotional campaign where buying Powerful Pro 4 gets you a chance to win original Powerful Pro goods. Prizes include stadium jumpers, mascot keychains, and stickers. This page is an advertisement for 2 Game Boy titles. The top portion promotes Kirby's Star Stacker, highlighting its simple puzzle gameplay and the inclusion of Rick, Kine, and Ku. It mentions the satisfaction of chaining stars together and features a release date of January 25th with a price of 3,000 yen. The bottom half is for Game Boy Gallery, showcasing various classic Game & Watch titles like Manhole, Oil Panic, Octopus, and Fire. It emphasizes the revival of these games on the Game Boy with both original and modern modes, available from February 1st for 3,000 yen. Princess Peach can be seen holding a Game Boy playing the Game Boy Gallery game, with screenshots of gameplay of the classic Game & Watch games on the side.